I used to think that silence would maintain peace, until one day I realized that very silence had turned me into a stranger in my own home. I still vividly remember that evening. It was a Thursday, like any other week, when my in-laws came over. I was used to cleaning, cooking, and forcing a smile, even though deep down I just wished time would pass a little faster. But that night was different, not because the pasta I made was terrible, actually, the kids ate it heartily, but because, for the first time, I realized I was merely a servant in my own house. William, my father-in-law, looked at the plate of food as if I had served up a disaster. He snorted, curled his lip, and said something I'll probably never forget. "Is this all you're capable of?" I was used to those kinds of jabs, but what hurt the most was Kieran's gaze, my husband. He didn't defend me, not at all. He even joined in with a half-smile as if I were the punchline of the entire dinner table's joke. I stayed silent. For the kids, for the fragile sense of calm, because I thought things would eventually blow over. But when William started attacking my job, my clothing, and even the way I mothered, I realized I was sitting in the middle of a stage where the audience consisted of people who never truly saw me. That night, I locked the bedroom door, mindlessly scrolled through my phone, and for the first time in years I asked myself, if I disappeared, would anyone really notice? The next morning everything seemed as if nothing had happened. Kieran was still making coffee, the kids were still eating cereal, but I felt like everything had shifted off its normal orbit. I texted Tara, a friend who wasn't particularly close but was always brutally honest. We met at the usual cafe, where, for the first time, I dared to spill everything. Tara looked at me, not with pity or empty platitudes, but with a single sentence that jolted me. "You're enduring because you think it's peace, but in reality, you're being devoured." At that moment, I wasn't brave enough to do anything drastic. I only decided that tonight, I wouldn't cook. It was a small act, but it was the first time I said no to the cycle they had imposed on me for years. When Kieran saw the pizza boxes on the table and asked if I was done being mad, I simply replied, "Maybe I'm done enduring." I didn't yell, didn't cry, I just let go of the role they had assigned me. The days that followed felt like a strange experiment. I stopped cleaning, stopped doing all the things I had quietly shouldered for so long, and the funny thing was, no one knew how to manage when I stopped being the shadow in the house. Alexa, my mother-in-law, started coming over more often, bringing bags of food and scrutinizing looks. She talked about keeping the family together, about tradition, but never once asked if I was okay. William called directly, no beating around the bush, accusing me of ruining everything, and Kieran, he gradually revealed himself as a man accustomed to being served rather than being a true husband. I don't know which moment truly flipped the switch for me. Maybe it was when Kieran knocked over the board game the kids were playing just because the kitchen was a bit messy, or when he blocked me at the door saying I couldn't take the kids wherever I pleased. But one thing I knew for sure. I was no longer the person I used to be. I packed a few clothes, stuffed essential documents into a bag, and took the kids to my mother's house. It wasn't an escape. It was the first time I stepped out of the invisible cage I had locked myself in under the guise of family. What surprised me most wasn't the barrage of calls from Kieran or the lengthy messages from Alexa. It was the sense of relief at being able to breathe properly. I didn't have to hear snide remarks, didn't have to fake a smile when I wanted to scream inside. The kids and I ate pancakes my mom made for breakfast, watched movies late into the night, and for the first time in ages, I slept without nightmares. Kieran tried to pull me back, with apologies, with threats, even by using the kids. But the more time passed, the more I realized he didn't actually want to change. He just wanted things to return to the old order, where I stayed silent and played the role they assigned me. I wasn't a strong woman from the start. I was scared, and I even considered going back just because I feared what people would say. But then I looked at the kids. They laughed more, were happier without witnessing those tense dinners. and I knew my choice was right. Some people ask if I regret it. I think I do, but not because I left. I regret letting myself endure for so long, for once believing that enduring was part of happiness. Now, I don't know what the future holds. I don't have a clear plan, nor any guarantees that things will be easy. But I know that every morning when I wake up, I no longer feel the heaviness I used to. I don't have to hear someone's exasperated sigh when they look at me. Maybe I'm just an ordinary woman, trying to rediscover herself after years of being swept up in the definitions of this is how a woman should be, this is how a wife should be. But I believe that sometimes just daring to stand up and walk out of a door that's been closed for too long makes you a winner. I haven't completely turned off my phone. Kieran still texts, still calls, but I no longer feel obligated to respond. I choose silence not because I'm weak, but because I don't want to waste another second on people who don't value me. Now I can sit with my son and put together puzzles without being yelled at for making a mess. I can let my daughter water the plants without worrying about Alexa complaining that it's ruining the floor. I can sit and drink coffee with my mom, telling her about little things, without having to watch for anyone's judgmental gaze. I don't need anyone to understand or support my decision. I just need to know that I'm living true to myself and giving the kids a better environment. And if anyone reading these lines feels trapped in their own home, I just want to say one thing. You are not a burden just because you demand respect. You are not selfish for wanting to be heard. And you are certainly not wrong for deciding to walk away to reclaim your worth. I don't promise this path is easy, but I know for sure it's worth far more than sitting in silence and letting others decide who you are. So no matter what tomorrow brings, I won't look back, because I deserve more than that.